welcome back to Learner's World. Today's video is going to be over some of the people known for World War I. This is going to be a part 1 video of a 2-part video series, so without further ado, let's get started. Starting off, we have Gavrilo Princip. He assassinated Franz Ferdinand. His assassinating Franz Ferdinand eventually led to the beginning of World War I. He was the second child out of 9, and 6 of his siblings died in infancy. He said, "I am the son of peasants, and I know what is happening in the villages. That is why I wanted to take revenge, and I regret nothing." He was born in western Bosnia to a poor Serb family. He was convicted of 2 counts of high treason murder. Franz Ferdinand. He was the Archduke of Austria. His assassination was the most immediate cause of World War I. He said, "What is the good of your speeches? I come to Sarajevo on a visit and I get bombs thrown at me. It is outrageous." He was the eldest son of Archduke Karl Ludwig of Austria. He was assassinated alongside his wife. He held significant influence over the military. He was married to Sophie Chotek, who was the Duchess of Hohenberg. David Beatty. He was a Royal Navy officer. He succeeded Jellicoe as Commander-in-Chief of the Grand Army. He said, "There seems to be something wrong with our bloody ships today." He is known as the first Earl Beatty. He was born January 17, 1871, and died March 11, 1936. He commanded Britain's battle cruisers in the Battle of Jutland in 1916 at the age of 25. He was promoted to captain from 1919 to 1927. He served as First Sea Lord, which allowed him to help create a smaller, modernized peacetime navy. Luigi Cadorna. He was an Italian general and marshal of Italy. He is considered one of the worst generals. He said, "The collapse of armies of Russia is the consequence of the absence of a strong and capable government. Now I must say that the Italian government is carrying out a ruinous internal policy for the discipline and morale of the army, against which it is my duty with all the strength of my soul." He completely reorganized Italy's ill-prepared army. In 1868, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant. In July of 1914, he was appointed as chief of the Italian General Staff. In May 1915, he was giving the Austro-Italian frontier when Italy entered World War I. Woodrow Wilson. He was a politician that served as president during World War I. In 1914, Wilson maintained a policy of neutrality between the Central Powers and Allied powers. In 1917, he asked Congress to declare war on Germany. He said, "There is no higher religion than human service. To work for the common good is the greatest creed." He was the 28th President of the United States. He created and was a lead advocate for the League of Nations while seeking support for the Treaty of Versailles. He suffered a paralytic stroke. Georges Clemenceau. He was a French statesman. He demanded a total victory over the German Empire. He said war is much too serious a matter to be entrusted to the military. He was a major contributor to the Allied victory in World War I and a framer of the Treaty of Versailles. In Paris, he became involved in the insurrection known as the Paris Commune. Alvin York. He was a soldier. He led an attack on a German machine gun nest. He said, "The fear of God makes a hero, the fear of man makes a coward." He received a Medal of Honor for the attack he led on the German machine gun nest. He also earned decorations from several Allied countries, including Montenegro, Italy, and France. During the 1930s and 1940s, he was a project superintendent for the Civilian Conservation Corps. Frank Luke. He was an American fighter pilot. He had 19 aerial victories. Harold Hartney said about Luke, "Man, how that kid could fly. No one, mind you, no one, had the sheer, contemptuous courage that boy possessed. I know he's been criticized for being such a lone-hander, but good Lord, he won us priceless victories by those tactics. He was an excellent pilot and probably the best flying marksman on the Western Front." We had any number of expert pilots and there was no shortage of good shots, but the perfect combination, like the perfect specimen of anything in the world, was scarce. Frank Luke was the perfect combination. Soon after the start of the war, he enlisted as a private in the Signal Corps. After that, he entered pilot training before joining in on the combat in France as a member of the 1st Pursuit Group, 27th Aero Division. Edith Cavell. She was a British nurse. She saved soldiers' lives. She said, "I realize that patriotism is not enough. I must have no hatred toward anyone." She worked the German-occupied Belgium during World War I. She aided hundreds of Belgian, British, and French soldiers in escaping the Germans, for which she was arrested, tried, and executed for in 1915. Grace D. Banker. She was a chief telephone operator for the U.S. Signal Corps. She led 33 women known as the Hello Girls. After the war, Banker and the other female telephone operators were treated as civilian contractors and were discharged without veteran status. It wasn't until 1977, which was 17 years after her death, that this was rectified by legislation. Once it was rectified by legislation, the surviving telephone operators received recognition as veterans. Wilhelm II, or as his full name is, Friedrich Wilhelm Victor Albert, was the last German Chancellor and King of Prussia. He said, "I regard every social democrat as an enemy of the empire and fatherland." Over the course of his reign, the German colonial empire acquired new territories in China and the Pacific. Nicholas II. He was the last reigning Emperor of Russia, King of Congress Poland, and Grand Duke of Finland from November 1st, 1894 to March 15th, 1917. He said, "I shall never, under any circumstances, agree to a representative form of government because I consider it harmful to the people whom God has entrusted to my care." During the July crisis of 1914, he supported Serbia and approved for the mobilization of the Russian army. Winston Churchill. He was serving as First Lord of the Admiralty in 1914 when the war started. After the losses with the Dardanelles naval campaign and military landings in Gallipoli, he not only was demoted but also resigned from government. Churchill said, "To improve is to change, to be perfect is to change often." He became an officer with the Army and until early 1916 served on the Western Front. In 1919, shortly after World War I, he was appointed Secretary of State for Air and War. John J. Pershing, U.S. Army general who commanded the American Expeditionary Force, or AEF, in Europe during World War I. Pershing said, "A competent leader can get efficient service from poor troops, while on the contrary, an incapable leader can demoralize the best of troops." In 1897, he was appointed as an instructor of tactics at West Point during the Spanish-American War. He served in Cuba through the Santiago campaign. Douglas Haig, the first Earl Haig. He was a British field marshal. His strategy of attrition resulted in enormous numbers of British casualties. Haig said, "There is no other course open to us but to fight it out. Every position must be held to the last man. There must be no retirement. With our backs to the wall and believing in the justice of our cause, each one of us must fight to the end." David Lloyd George. He was Prime Minister of the UK from 1916 to 1922. He was a leading proponent at the Paris Peace Conference in 1919. He said, "Don't be afraid to take a big step if one is indicated. You can't cross a chasm in 2 small jumps." His major accomplishment before World War I was the National Insurance Act in 1911. The National Insurance Act was originally a system of health insurance for industrial workers in Great Britain, also providing for unemployment insurance. Erich Ludendorff. Prussian general who was mainly responsible for Germany's military policy and strategy during later years of World War I. He said, "I will give troops gladly as long as I know that they will be used in the right place to bring victory." After the war, he became a leader of reactionary political movements. He joined the Nazi Party and subsequently took an independent idiosyncratic right radical line. And the one we're going to end off on today is Franz Joseph I of Austria. From 1848 to 1916, he was the Emperor of Austria and was the King of Hungary. From 1867 to 1916, he divided his empire into the dual monarchy, allowing Austria and Hungary to coexist as equal partners. He said, "Nothing has been spared in this world." Well, that's it for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. And if there's a topic you want to see in a future video, please leave it in a comment below. Have a great day.